Good evening, folks. From afar and here in the room, it's March 29th. This is the regular select board meeting. If you would join me for the pledge and if you would remain standing at the end of the pledge, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I've asked you to remain standing for a moment of silence for a very dear and longtime servant of the town and of the city, Mary Ann Justin, a very dear friend of mine, a member of the very first recreation committee before it became a commission, and a longtime teacher in the Rutland City School System, third grade, passed away 3 o'clock yesterday morning. Her husband, Brian, was a devoted member of the Rutland Town Fire Department for many years. And I had the privilege of teaching her son, Brian Jr., at Rutland Town Elementary School. So if you would bow your head. Thank you. Her name was Anne Marie Banya from West Rutland. You know, that's a famous name in West Rutland, if you know that. And dear friends, their family were dear friends of my wife's as well. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah. This, I've asked Bill to add to our meeting agenda a bullet that comes just in front of members from the audience that are not on the agenda that would like to speak, called announcements. The Planning Commission does this as well. And announcements will be that time when any board member that has a personal announcement of any kind that they want, because there's not really any other place on the agenda for this. So it's announcements. And Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, I just would again ask you to keep Byron Hathaway in your prayers. He is recovering in Burlington Hospital.
Yep.
And doing well. I'm not at liberty to share much else, and I don't know if Kurt wants to, but I didn't want to say much more than that.
Oh, we'll leave it at that. He's doing well.
Okay.
For sure.
Good. We wish him a very speedy recovery. So, Bill, Mary, yes, Mary.
And announcement, I would like to congratulate one of our young townspeople. His name is Tristan Stute. He made the rank of Eagle Scout. He is son of Claudius and Kendra Stute, who live on Cedar Avenue. Tristan worked with Troop 105 and 120 to clean up Cheney Hill Cemetery. So that was his Eagle project. We owe him a debt of gratitude for that and our congratulations.
Thank you, Mary. He certainly does deserve our congratulations. It's a lot of hard work to make Eagle Scout. I know because I didn't make Eagle Scout. So, any other announcements? Okay, the next order of business is approval of the orders. You've all seen and have the where are they?
Here's some of it.
Take the signature sheets. If anybody would like the backup information, they can ask for it. I'm not going to pass the whole. No, this right here.
Yeah, but what about this?
I'll get to that.
Oh, no, that isn't.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll pass those around for your signature. We have 3. Mary and Joe, when you get a chance, come on in and sign. The next order of business will be the approval of the select board minutes of March 15th. What's your pleasure?
Move to accept.
Motion's made to accept the minutes of March 15th.
I think I had,
Well, we can use
One-
second first, and then if we get corrections,
all right, 1 second.
second.
Yeah.
Motion's made and seconded to accept the minutes of of March 15th. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
I think there's just one addition on page 8.
Okay, refer to page 8.
There's under Larry Delvenary for the transfer station, 1C says select woman, but didn't specify. I think that was select woman Ashcroft moved to authorize. Just a minor typo.
I've made the change.
Perfect.
I've made the addition, that is. Selectwoman Ashcroft moved to authorize the repair of the container for amount not to exceed $3,000. Selectwoman Hathaway seconded the motion.
Mhm.
Very good. Any other additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. 4-0. Place to put all this stuff. You sign both. of them. Next order of business is the availability of anyone who is not on the agenda from the public to address the board on any subject they wish. And we have a gentleman right here. Your name, sir?
Michael Robichaux?
Mike Robichaux. Come on up. You can bring your young man with you if you like. You can sit right at the desk with us. Pleasure to have you here this evening.
Thank you. Do I need to speak into this?
Please.
I'm here. My name's Michael Robichaux. I live at 1401 Road. I had addressed the select board on 2/15/22 regarding an issue of water contamination at my residence. The motion was made to defer it to the Water and Sewer Committee. On 3/8/22, I emailed Bill Sweet just to follow up with him because I had not heard anything. And on 3/10, I requested if it would be reasonable that we could schedule that meeting sometime in the next 4 weeks. On the reply on 3/11, I asked to hear back within the next 2 weeks with an update regarding when this meeting could take place. And I have not heard anything, so I'm here to find out when I can expect this meeting to take place of the Water and Sewer Committee.
That's certainly a reasonable request, and I'll defer to the Water and Sewer Committee, and Kurt's here is on the Water and Sewer.
Was I on the water sewer? Yeah.
No, I haven't gotten to assignment yet, but you're there.
Yeah, whenever we can. Am I the only one on that, Don?
Yes, I've made some changes, and I'll explain those when we get to it. But since
Okay.
Mr. Robichaux is asking
Um,
if you could schedule that with him, now would be a good time if you can.
yeah, I think I know. Yep. Yeah, I think I know where we're at. We can schedule a meeting. How's tomorrow look for you?
Fine.
All right, we got one at 48 hours. So let's see, we are.
It's out to bid right now, so.
Yeah.
We gotta wait for that to come back before we, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, I can still sit down and talk with them.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, if you want to just sit with them, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you want a committee meeting, we gotta warn it, but you can do one-on-one, that's no problem.
okay. Do you want to talk with me one-on-one, or you want a committee meeting, or?
I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one, but I would like to address the committee because I'd like a response from the committee. So I think that would be the best course of action.
Okay.
And if you want, I can reach out to you through email if that's more convenient.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, we can get something scheduled up here. We'll see. Yeah, I'll talk with Bill and we'll get something scheduled up here in the next week or so.
okay, very good.
Don, a comment on that, please?
Pardon me, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, at our recent combination highway rec committee, Robert Clark was there, and we did discuss the extension of that water line up to Mr. Rolishow's property. I believe there's some stuff going in the works with that. So if Kurt and the former committee consisted of quite a few members, a couple of members of the board, and Howard was on it. And it was partly because of the water and sewer is kind of distributed among several participants in town. Jason does some of the sewer stuff and that. So you might need to add a couple people to help Kurt along here with the background. But Robert Clark would probably need to be involved with this, because I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but there are plans in putting this out to bid, and it would include that additional stretch of pipe. So stuff is in the works. We got through some of the preliminary stages of this last week. So just for information.
Good, thank you, Joe. And so Mike, that'll be helpful to you, obviously. And Kurt, for your information as the lead select board member on the committee, that doesn't restrict other interested parties from participating on the committee. And obviously, Jason would, as basically the water person of the of the highway department. And Robert Clark, of course, has been an invaluable aid to us, and obviously he'd be good to have. And that would be up to you to invite them and so forth.
Okay.
Don, I would like to serve on that committee too. I have had several years' experience on it, and there are several more items in the works that the town is considering.
Right. Well, there's no restriction for you participating on the committee. I'm going to take the same attitude with the board members in making my committee assignments as I took as a member, with your permission, Mary, as chair, to attend any meeting that I thought I could add some value to. And you're certainly welcome to do it. But
I intend.
The chair appointments, though, the committee appointments are the chair's prerogative, and I'm going to make some changes for some good reasons. So you're welcome to attend. And
I will.
Your input would be, I'm sure, appreciated by Kurt and the committee. Does that satisfy your question, Mike?
Yes, it does.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank your young man for
Kurt, do you
participating.
have his information that you can contact?
Yeah, Bill has it. I'll definitely shoot you an email.
Take care, Mike. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to address the board on any matter? And that would be our emergency management director has his hand up. Marty Wasserman, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Just real quickly, you've been given a copy of the current local emergency management plan that has to be adopted every year. There's been some changes in it this year and some updates. And so you all have a copy. And if you have any questions or concerns, if you'd get a hold of me, but I'd like you to look this over. So by next meeting, the 12th, I can get the signatories to sign this and I can turn it into the state. So you don't have to look at it this minute, but in the next, between now and the next select board meeting, if you have any questions, please call me.
Okay, is that in our packet or is that?
Yes, Phil gave you copies of it.
Yeah.
It's on the desk.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Good.
Thanks, Marty.
Is that it?
That's it.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Perfect.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
You want to bring one home for Mary?
I'll share. It's more than I can supposed to eat.
Uh-oh.
Anyone else? Excuse me, anyone else from the
Andres is on there too.
Andres?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, a little scratchy, but I can. Of course, I got hearing aids, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm mobile here in my car, so hopefully everybody can hear me fine. I just wanted to give the board a quick update on the Stormwater MS4 annual reporting that's due at the end of this week.
You all have the right information, did a section of stuff on the desk from him, the MS4 at the top of it.
Okay, where is it here?
It's just the watershed. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's several
Watershed.
So yeah, so I just to give a quick overview, each year as a part of the town's MS4 municipal separate storm sewer permit held with the state of Vermont, there's an annual reporting requirement. And so we're currently working on putting together the materials for that. And I think Bill has given you some of the materials. The reporting is due by April 1st. And so basically we're prepared to kind of give the state an update on the progress that the town has made in the past year. And the bulk of the progress is really towards this phosphorus control plan requirement. So we're going to be reporting on that. And so some of the information I think that goes back to the state, a lot of it is technical in nature, related to existing best management practices in the town, and then the proposed list of best management practices in the town that are part of the phosphorus control plan and also part of the Moonbrook flow restoration plan. So we requesting the board's approval to kind of submit the material, and I think one of the cover sheets there requires signature from the town. So really that's what we're looking for in order to allow us to submit this material.
What's the due date on this, Andres?
First.
It's April 1st.
Okay,
So if we get that signature, we'll get all the package. We'll get the package together in time and put it to Bill. Give Bill a full copy, and then we'll submit it on the town's behalf as we've done in the past.
okay, what's the pleasure of the board on
I
this?
make a motion that we give Don the pleasure of signing this.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded that the chair sign on behalf of the town. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Right?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4-0. I'll be signing it now.
While we have Andres, could I ask a question, please?
Sure, go ahead, Mary.
Andres, what percentage of our target have we actually met at this point?
That's a good question. So there's two different targets now. Originally, you just had the flow target for Moonbrook, and now there's a phosphorus target.
Yeah.
For the phosphorus control plan. So for Moonbrook, Hitzel Terrace is in the ground, so that's gotten you a portion of the way. And I don't have the percentage in front of me. I can definitely get you guys a report on that. But the phosphorus control plan is is really just kind of starting off, aside from a lot of the road projects that have been done in the past. So we talked about Windmere. So that's one of the projects that if that goes ahead and gets built, that's going to benefit both the flow restoration and the phosphorus control plan. But the phosphorus control plan is pretty new. It was just, finalized last year. So I think we're kind of just starting out. And I think, this coming season, there's kind of a list of some to-dos, which I've, presented on in the past. I think Nancy Lane is kind of the next project in line that needs to be designed out and then, eventually implemented. So we've kind of started that process. And so I think that that's one that really does need to kind of move forward this year to kind of stay on track. But in terms of where you're at percentage-wise, I can definitely I can get Bill a quick summary on that. That's not a problem. And then you can have that, see where you're at.
Thank you. Is there a completion date for, what year are we supposed to have all of this done?
It's a ways out. I believe it's like 2030. I want to say 2032. I mean, the schedule goes out a ways.
Okay,
And, for both of these plans, the state has been pretty flexible. It's just, I've been trying to kind of keep the ball rolling so that we're on target. But, each year with these updates, we're kind of updating the state on where we are. So we just want to keep moving forward, because if we don't, then they just start accumulating. So even though it's a ways out, the schedule is staggered. So we're trying to, continue to make progress on them.
okay. And you're keeping an eye out. You're keeping an eye out for grants for us that will help cover some of the cost?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And, the Windmere one was a grant-funded project with the Planning Commission. I would expect, that one kind of ended successfully. I think there'll be a little more design work to do, but then implementation, certainly that could be one that could be grant-funded. So yes, we're definitely keeping an eye out for grant funding, and I've been talking with Barbara and then also Nancy McGuire pretty regularly. So we're always, got our eyes open for grants.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Anybody have any other questions for Andres while he's on? Well, thank you very much, Andres, and continue your drive.
Always a pleasure. You bet. Will do. Thanks.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Good. Takes care of that. Okay, next order of business is to review the town officials list and discuss filling any needed positions by appointment. You have your lists in front of you. Let's see if I can find it here. It's if you go to the back page, Bill has these highlighted for us. I did speak with Jim Hall about two positions, about we haven't had a Rutland Regional Planning Commission representative now for about I think about a year and a half. And also the Transportation Council rep, he's been the alternate. And originally he said he would do both, but then he gave me a call and he said he didn't want to overload himself. He was trying to kind of retire a little bit, but he said he would really appreciate doing the Regional Commission position. So
So I make a move that
Rutland Regional Planning Commission rep is vacant.
I make a motion that we appoint Jim Hall, Rutland Regional Planning Commission rep.
I'll second that.
Motion's made by Sharon, seconded by Kurt, to appoint Jim Hall to the Regional Planning Commission representative. Any discussion, or are there any other nominations for that position? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The road commissioner's position is not vacant. We have a road commissioner. He's sitting right in front of us right now. That would be Walt, and we'll get to an advertisement here and a job description in a minute.
What are we gonna do about that?
Rutland Regional Planning Commission representative alternate. I don't have anybody in mind. Does anyone have a nomination for that position?
Could we
For
ask,
alternate?
could we ask Barbara if there are any members of our planning commission who might be interested in serving?
Barbara, are you on and listening? Did you hear that?
Yes. I can ask. We meet Thursday night.
Would you please? Yeah.
Will do.
And that would be a very appropriate. The Transportation Council rep obviously is vacant, and Jim has been the alternate, Jim Hall. And I don't know if anybody has an interest in that Transportation Council.
Don, I would do that. If Walt, that position had been previously filled, Byron did that being the road commissioner, and he did that for quite a while, and then he decided, he stepped down. So I'm not sure what it entails, but I could do that until we hire a road commissioner, and I think that's one of the probably, I call it side effects, but things that go along with that job of road commissioner is maybe to be on this council. But in the interim, I'll do that if that's okay with the rest of you.
If that's okay with the present road commissioner.
It's okay with me.
He's smiling, Joe, so I guess he's pretty happy that you decided to
So
fill that in.
I move that we appoint Joe DiNardo.
Motion's been made to appoint Joe DiNardo until we hire a road commissioner.
Second that.
Second by Kurt. Any discussion? Any other nominees? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Don, in the back of the folder with the originals are the appointment forms. Just I'm almost sure they need your signature on the bottom of those. So if you want to just sign them, we'll take care of filling all the pertinent.
Okay, where are they, Bill?
The pink folder.
Oh, in the
At the very
pink.
back of it.
Yeah, I'm still working off the sheet here, so. Transportation Council, would it be Joe?
You do need the SWAC one done as well.
Right. Well, what I was gonna do is, I was gonna fill the vacant ones if we can fill them, and then just do the rest as a batch. Rather, because they're, they are who they are. Nobody has called me to tell me they wouldn't do these jobs again, so. Our SWAC representative is Larry Delvenieri. Our SWAC representative alternate is Bill Bauer. Those are our transfer station manager and assistant. Regional Transportation Council representative alternate is Jim Hall. The weigher of coal is Israel Mack. The tree warden is, I don't think it's Byron Hathaway. I think it's Fred Nicholson. He proudly proclaimed that he was at a previous meeting. So. In defense of.
We did appoint him.
Pardon me?
I said we did previously appoint him.
There, so he is officially the guardian of the spruce tree in front of the building, so at least. So that would not be Byron Hathaway, that would be Fred Nicholson. The pound keeper is Paul Williams. The inspector of wood is Byron Hathaway, and I'm pretty sure that Byron wanted to divorce himself of all responsibilities here and retire in peace. But I'm not sure because he didn't
Tell me he'd continue to be the inspector of wood.
He would continue?
Yep. He
Good,
told me that.
good. So Byron is the inspector of wood. And I'm expecting that he will inspect the wood on the spruce tree after we take care of that.
Yep.
The fence viewer, there are 3 fence viewers. The first one watches the fence, the second one watches the first fence viewer, and the third one is on the other side of the fence, making sure that the other 2 are doing their jobs. Steve Russell is the fence viewer. Charlie Hemingway is the second fence viewer, and Howard Burgess is the third fence viewer.
The 3 Musketeers.
And if somebody would make a motion that we appoint all of these individuals to continue in their positions, that would be nice.
So move.
I'm certainly not gonna. You'll have to do it,
I
Kurt.
think Joe said so move.
Second.
Joe made a motion that we do that we appoint those people that are in the positions now, as I just outlined, to continue their valuable function to the town. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second, motion is seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You are all duly appointed to your positions. I have a suggestion, and I'll leave it up to the board to make what I feel is an inadvertent mistake when the positions of Planning Commission member and Rutland Regional Commission members were authorized a stipend payment per meeting. The representative to the regional ambulance service was left out of that, and I didn't, I don't feel that's appropriate. I think we, in terms of fairness, that we really should authorize our representative to the regional ambulance service to be reimbursed at the same rate that the planning commission members are per meeting, which is, I think if you'll check your town report, it's 30, you got one handy? I got it somewhere. No, before the meeting, but I didn't do that. Got it. Anybody got one handy? Oh, here it is. Town officer. Let's see. Official, where are they? I'll find it here. Salary rates 43. So the justice of the peace. Planning and regional commission members are reimbursed $39.44 per meeting. What's your pleasure on the representative to the regional ambulance service?
So I so move that we pay them according to what everybody else is being paid.
Motion's made by Sharon
Second.
to reimburse the regional ambulance representative at the same rate as the planning commission members and the regional commission member. $39.44.
I'll second
Second that motion.
Seconds a motion. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thanks. I gotta remember to wait so I can hear all of the ayes. Thank you. Motion carries. And that will commence immediately per meeting. So noted, Madam Treasurer. Okay, good. There's also there's another adjustment that I would like to recommend. It used to be there and it's not there anymore. There was a distinction made between the chair and the clerk and the select board members in terms of the stipend amount. And I do intend, and I don't want to hear any groans from the over the airwaves. I do intend to ask, you don't demand, I'm going to ask for some help from my clerk on certain items. And also, there are some times when I know that I will have to be absent from here, and the clerk will be performing the vice chairman's duties and filling in for me. And what I would like to do is reinstitute the additional stipend amount for clerk of the board at an additional $500.
So move.
And there will be offsetting amounts. Motion has been made. So we don't discuss anything until there's a second to it.
Second,
Mary seconded the motion. Now we're in discussion, and I'm anticipating that there would be some savings based on the committee assignments, because I've changed the procedure a little bit since everything that's discussed by committee when it's advertised is brought back to the board for board approval in any case. I didn't see really any need for having two members on each committee. It's just, it's a little bit, I thought it was a little bit cumbersome last time, and any member, as I said, any member who wishes to go to any committee meeting, you're more than welcome to come if you feel you have something to offer or you want to contribute to that meeting. And that's up to the chair of the committee as I've assigned. The chair is the one that runs the meeting. The committee consists of the chair, who's a board member, the department head or heads, as the case may be, any technical assistance that may be required from professionals, and Bill as the recorder of the meeting. And but the chair is responsible for the meeting. The chair is responsible for reporting back to the board any decisions that the committee makes, and makes recommendations to the board for action. There will be some savings there, so I don't believe we'll be in any kind of budget problems by authorizing this payment, even though we didn't budget it. The money will be there because there will not be as much put in by having two members on the committees. In any case, that was my theory and my feelings on the budget part of it, because I wouldn't want to be putting budget items down here that we haven't planned for. Is there any other discussion on that? Motion made and seconded.
wait, can I
All in
ask,
favor of the Pardon me.
excuse me? If we're going to talk about committee assignments and people going to committees, I would assume that's a separate item than just voting on the additional money for our clerk. Am I correct?
Say that again, Mary. I'm not sure I understood what you were.
The
first part
motion pending, I believe, is to appropriate the additional $500 for the clerk.
That's correct.
Are we
That's
also
all.
going to have a chance to discuss committee assignments at a later time?
Yes, when we do.
All right.
I haven't even gotten to that yet, but I was given my rationale for for the other. Yes, we will, Mary.
So Don, what are the extra duties taken on by the clerk per se?
Well, first of all, the clerk can take care of correspondence, number one. Joe has decided for his own personal reasons to be remote as much as he can. And I certainly understand his situation and his reasons for doing that, and I don't have any problems with it. But when any proclamations are made or something needs to be read by the board, the clerk usually, that's kind of a clerk function to do that. And well, any other thing that I think I need help with. And as Mary said, this is going to be a challenging year. And I think you'll hear in the balance of this meeting, you're going to hear some real challenges that we have ahead of us, in addition to what we know we have with the building and so forth. So there's going to be plenty of extra work.
Okay.
Well, and then there's also running the meeting and everything that's required to run a meeting. That means meeting with Bill and going over the agenda, making sure that you have control of the information on the desk, which I almost have, but I'm not there yet. I'll tell you there. There's a lot of responsibility in chair, and the vice chair has to be able to do anything that the chair does, really. And Joe was clerk before, so he knows what it is. Whether he had to do it or not is immaterial, really. It's the responsibility of it. And it obviously is it's a matter of pride and responsibility that there is a delineation in the titles. So there ought to be something there. So
Fair enough.
that's why. And the amount, quite frankly, Kurt, the amount is pretty arbitrary.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like anybody's going to get rich on it, but it's a recognition that you have extra responsibilities.
Yep.
And I guess you'll see him when he gets them and you'll know. But thanks for asking.
Yep, no problem.
Any other discussion on that? We already voted it, didn't we? I mean, we did. We vote that?
No, I think we.
No,
had
I
to
don't
vote,
think
so-
we did. I think
We didn't take a vote
That
yet.
was first and
Wow.
second, but I think we got voted.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, I guess we're into this one now. But I got trying to keep my stuff straight here. Now, committee assignments. You received one in your packet, which is inaccurate. It was incomplete. And Bill can explain what happened to the gnome that got into his computer because he had it all. He had them all down there, but somehow or other they didn't get printed out correctly. So in any case, water and sewer and public safety building were left off from your sheets. But they are in fact still committees and they have committee assignments. I've assigned Joe DiNardo as the committee chair for Highway Committee because he has the experience and he's done it before and he did a good job. And I'd like him to continue doing that good job. Sharon Russell, I appointed to the fire committee chair, mainly because, well, two reasons. First of all, her husband's been a volunteer fireman, was a volunteer fireman, I think a charter member, but volunteer fireman for a long time. So she knows the fire business. And also, Sharon probably has as much knowledge about building fire protection procedures as anyone on the board in her job that she just retired from, but she's still a consultant for at the rescue mission, Rutland Rescue Mission. She's well aware of the fire code requirements, and they're pretty technical and complicated, and she knows them, so she'd be good on that. I appointed her also to the Recreation Committee because she was on it before, and it's a love of hers to be on recreation, being a past chairman and really an integral part of what goes on at Northwood Park. And I really appreciate what she's done for the town. And I'd like to see her continue to work with Mike on recreation. I appointed Kurt to the transfer station, mainly because it's a heavy duty type of thing and it deals with, equipment and stuff like that. And I thought he would work well with Larry. there. Um, On the intermunicipal committee, the chair typically is on the intermunicipal committee based on, just based on the title of chairman representing the town. And I would certainly appreciate having the wealth of information, knowledge, and negotiation ability that Mary Ashcroft brings to that position. And I think it would be very appropriate that I work with her on intermunicipal. On building and technology, Joe and Kurt, and the reason I put 2 on that one is because it's hopefully we can get to a point where we can at least come up with some plans for downstairs and its construction. And both Joe and Kurt have a lot of construction experience and knowledge of building and so forth. I put Joe Donato on the police committee. Mainly, so I thought he could probably control our police chief as well as anybody could. And if he can't, he knows all the hiding places where he can tuck them. So really, scholarship committee, Mary and I have worked on this for a number of years, and
I'm
pretty
sorry,
much
Don,
Mary-
I thought you appointed Sharon and I last meeting.
I did. She kind of begged off from it and asked me
Oh,
if I
wait a
would
minute.
do it.
Wait a minute. I want to clarify this. Mr. Choppy said to me, Mary and I have been doing it for a number of years. And I said, well, I didn't even think when I spoke up, because at that point, Mary, it looked like we were in a rush to get it done. And that's why I said, well, I'll do it with Mary. So I apologize, but I didn't beg off. I don't want anybody to think that I did, because I didn't.
No. That was.
No, Sharon and I had done it not only we had done it way more years for the town, but we had also done it for the Rutland South Rotary Club. So
And a good job was done by both of us, I think.
yes, it
I
was.
have no problems whatsoever with you being on the scholarship.
Yeah.
I'll never get another whoopie pie, Mary. You put me into this
All right,
situation.
Kurt, you just earned yourself another whoopie.
Perfect.
Keeps
So-
running his mouth, you'll have the
No,
whole box. before you're done.
Actually, if you want to know the truth, Mary did most of the work when she and I were on the committee, but we just argued about who would get second, third, or fourth, or whatever. And quite frankly, when Mary and I were on the committee, our biggest complaint was that we just never had enough money. And we had so much need, and there were so many kids that really deserved more than we possibly could give them. And that's very, I mean, it really was very frustrating for us to have to decide that somebody gets more than somebody else and you don't have enough. I have a partial solution to that problem that I hope to bring to the board in the future. But we'll take that up when it comes, in terms of the amount of money that we have for scholarships. I think there's a source out there that we can increase that amount by substantial. So, so what's your pleasure, Sharon? Would you please serve on the scholarship committee with Mary?
After you played that card and said, it's all right, Kurt, you just got another one. Yes, I would be
No.
glad to.
Yeah, I think you do a great job.
We have
And
done
we
a
have
great
done a
job
great
before.
Okay.
Looks like I'm back in,
look
Mary.
at that. Don, just
I'll
like.
put the last whoopie pie in your bottom drawer.
Do you want to write the quick little blurb for the star or the circle, or do you want me to?
You know what? With all I've got going at home with contractors, I would appreciate it, Mary,
Okay.
if you did it.
Now, now That's all right. No, I won't say that because I'll lose another, I'll lose another one.
You lost them all.
Finance and personnel. You and I, Sharon, are doing finance and personnel, and we have some work to do, as we know from past experience. We've got to work on that personnel.
Yep.
Town event celebration, and I'm very much hoping that we have one this year. I think we will. I'm planning on it. Mary and Kurt. And we should have a bang up this year with a band, whatever,
Boy.
whatever you guys plan.
I don't know how big
It's,
the budget was.
I appointed Mary to the Energy Committee Chair. And obviously, there's some things that are waiting in that committee for committee work and action. The water and sewer, Kurt had expressed an interest in that particular committee, and I thought it was quite appropriate that he be chair of the Water and Sewer Committee. And as Joe aptly pointed out, there will be others that will join you on that committee, key people. But you'll be the chair. The Public Safety Building, Joe and Sharon, and of course, our Clerk of the Works and the police chief and fire chief will be on that committee. So now, discussion on committees. Mary, you had?
Yeah, I would make the point that I think it's a false savings to say that some committees only have one select board member on them. I have found it useful in the 8 years I've been on the select board to have two people at least on, two select board members on each committee. It generates really good discussion. It represents a cross-section of the board a little better than one person. And frankly, with a good discussion in committee and some clear determination of what issues to bring to the main select board, it saves time in the main select board meetings. So I was disappointed to see single member committee assignments. I will sit in on as many as I can, and no, I will not charge the town. I know perhaps that was different from past practice, but committees I am not assigned to, I won't charge the town for my time, but I will go as a member of the public. And that raises another question, and I think I want to make this clear. Any committee meeting still needs to be warned in advance as a public meeting so that people can participate and the public is invited to come in and participate.
That's correct. However, the public is invited to participate in committee meetings in exactly the same fashion that the public is invited to participate at these meetings here. And that is that when the meeting starts, any member of the public that has something to add may add it to the meeting, as we do here with courtesy to anyone that wants to address the board. However, during the meeting, like now, we don't let members of the public participate as if they were members of the committee. And committees should operate in exactly the same fashion, so that those members that come that are interested in a committee function or a committee purpose do not have a right to participate as if they were members of the committee. If they're
Well,
members of the public, they have a right to speak at the beginning. Otherwise, the committee loses control of its agenda and its purpose for having a meeting.
Well,
So
that was a little different from how you participated when you came to committee meetings. So I'm glad you cleared that up. We may attend, but we may not speak except at the beginning. Is that the rule?
well, that's what should be the rule. I was never castigated or told that I couldn't, so I did. But anyone could have said that to me, and I would suppose it's up to the chair of the meeting to decide whether they want to let somebody speak if they have something to add into the meeting. I certainly wouldn't object to anybody adding something in that was relevant, but that's up to the chair. Chair runs a meeting, just as the chair is running this meeting. So, yes, your point is well taken, but that wasn't a rule last time. Now it is. And I think it's for the orderly operation of committees as well as the orderly operation of the board meeting. So.
Thank you
and
for that
if-
clarification and statement of your policy.
You're welcome, Mary. And if this plan of mine and this committee assignment procedure that I've developed does not work, I'd be more than willing to change it so that it does. And we'll evaluate it as it goes forward. So where are we here now? Done A. Safety grant. Review for approval of VLCT Safety Grant. Now is that in the pink or is that on this,
The original for you to sign is in there, yes,
in the pink?
yes. It's B in the packet.
What letter is it? B, yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to B in your packet, you'll see, if I can find it here. That's B. This is the grant. Maybe Ed could explain this as well as anybody, either Ed or Ted. This is that passive grant for the printer, scanner, cable, adapters, mounts well, you can do it right from there. I just, wherever, whatever. If you want to come up, Ed, you
Yeah,
can.
because then the public can hear.
Yeah, this is for the in-car scanners. It's basically the way we do it now. We write a ticket for somebody for speeding or whatever. You have to take and fill out all by hand. And this way here, they'll have you have an in-car printer, you have a scanner, you take the license, you shoot your infrared at it, and it downloads everything into Valcor. And then there's adapters and the mounts and whatnot. It comes to totals $5,474.64. We just need you to approve it. It's a safety grant where we have to pay the money out front and they reimburse
Get
us
it all
completely.
back.
We get it all back.
It's 100% reimbursement. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and we recorded there, the safety of it would be, we're in and out of traffic faster. We don't have to sit there, and less chance officer being hit by a car who gets mesmerized by the lights flashing. They can't quite, understand the car there. Happens sometimes, I guess.
So I move that we authorize John to sign the safety grant
You know who the
and approve it.
senior municipal.
Second.
I'll get that to Don to sign.
He's got a copy.
Oh, he has? Okay.
Well, might as well.
Lost my pen.
Yeah.
Is that the original?
I know, you've got a copy too. They're all original. Whoever signs it makes it original.
Trying to see if there's another one in here.
There was, yeah.
Yeah, there it is, it's in there.
I'll take that one back if that's fine.
Here. You can keep that copy. I'll share this. There a motion? Was there a motion? Did you
Yeah,
make
I
a
made the
motion?
motion.
Was there a second to that motion?
Yeah.
Kurt,
Yeah, I second it.
any discussion on a motion? Motion's made that we sign the passive grant application for $5,474.64, which will be reimbursed at a rate of $5,474.64. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. And I will
Check it.
Senior municipal. Okay, that's done. Board to review for readoption the town purchasing policy. This is item C in your agenda.
I'd move to readopt the purchasing policy.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Question. I
Pardon me?
Yeah, I had Bill include it in the packet. I just wanted to make sure that our limits are appropriate. We haven't adjusted the limits for a few years.
Okay, let's look at the limits then. In the definition section, major purchases are those purchases of goods or services in the amount of $5,000 or more. So up to 5,000 would not require a purchase order.
It wouldn't
Regular
require going
purchases-
out to bid, and that's the key.
yeah,
difference.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. To bid. Regular purchases are those purchases of goods or services in an amount of at least 1,000, but less than 5. Incidental
those
purchases.
require-
Pardon me?
The letter B, Don, requires that purchases of 1,000 to 5,000 requires competitive pricing. It doesn't have to go out to bid, but we would need to get at least a couple prices if available on a project.
Right. Well, that's defined further in the purchasing
Yeah,
policy.
Yeah, I was just,
Question?
no, I was just kind of following to Mary. We'll just kind of clear it up, do it all at once. So it explains why these limits were set when we did this. That's all.
Right.
Ed has a question.
Just remembering that we're trying to get the best deal for the taxpayers. That's the whole point of going to bid and getting quotes if it's below the bid limit.
Right. Ed, what's your question?
No answer. I'm good.
I had a question as to on the application, it said this policy shall apply to all purchase of goods or services by the town of Rutland, except where conditions of state or federal funds or conditions of a grant, gift, or bequest mandate otherwise. And I thought maybe we should add in there and shall remain in effect until amended or modified by a subsequent select board. So we would not be dealing with this every year unless it was necessary to do that. And if somebody had an amendment that they wanted to add, they could add it. I see no reason in having to adopt it every year, but is there one?
I don't think we have adopted it every year. What we do adopt is the list of preferred vendors, which allows those
Right.
people not to have to go through this process.
Right. And as you said, Mary, the reason you brought this forward was so that we could look at the limits that were in there. And if anybody has any suggestions that we should change those, I'd like to hear them now. Everybody comfortable with that?
Have any of the department heads run into any issues with limits lately?
Anyone? No?
I don't think there's been anything recently, but the policy was changed, and I do believe we did it in 18 because the old policy, what you could buy for whatever the top limit was probably barely what we're doing in regular purchases now because everything had just gotten so expensive. Maybe we don't need to adopt it every year, but it's just something that each year we should just take a look at, and I think it's a good idea to keep on top of it because we got way behind before or every couple years. But it's with the way prices are skyrocketing now, so it won't be long before these numbers probably aren't good anymore.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
But
yeah, what do you think
Anyway.
about the language that it will remain in effect until amended or modified by a subsequent select board? I mean,
That's fine with me. And I would,
It kind of goes
Modify the
without
motion.
saying.
yeah,
So does the maker of the motion agree to that friendly amendment?
I do.
And does a seconder agree to that? Who seconded it?
I can't remember. I think Sharon seconded it.
Did you?
No,
No,
not that one,
I thought
but I'll
you did.
second it.
All right.
Well, I don't hear
I
any
can't
objection to that. I'd like to put that in there. And then Bill can add that to his tickler file and we can just bring it up like we did and ask if anybody has any changes that they want to make to it, and that'll be the end of that. Good. All those in favor of the adopting the town of Rutland purchasing policy as with that slight amendment, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? So we have adopted it, and we'll put re-adopted 3/29/22. And Bill, if you want those changes, I got them written on my sheet here. You got them. Okay. Okay, let's see, driving while operating a handheld electronic device ordinance repeal status.
If you want, I can go over that when I come up. It's not gonna take long.
Say again?
If you want, I can touch on that when I come up.
Okay,
There's not much to do right now.
good, good. Would take that up under Bill's report. Any other new business? Oh. Yeah. I've noticed, well, I've watched other meetings and I just think I'd like to adopt a policy and I'll put it out there. And all it is a request. I don't think it needs a vote. These things here have become so critical in our lives that what I want to do is make a polite request of my board and the members here, the department heads as well, that when you come to this meeting, that you put your telephones on either airplane mode or hold or silent, and that you either put them in your pocket or you do, as I have done many times, hit the notification, hit do not disturb, and simply place it on the desk. And the reason being, obviously, it's just a matter of courtesy and respect for our meeting that we give our full attention to the business of the meeting. And there shouldn't be anything on the phone except for emergency that requires us to be looking at our phones instead of doing our business here in the meeting. So that's just a polite request, and I would appreciate it if people would adhere to that policy. Is there any other new business to come before the meeting? There will be an executive session requested at the end of the regular business of the meeting. I don't see any need to put people out of a room and take it up under this new business. But I'll be requesting one at the end of the regular business. Is there any old business to come up before the meeting? Okay, hearing none. Department head reports. First from Kari, Clerk, Town Clerk and Treasurer. Welcome, Kari. Good to see you.
Hi. Okay. A nice little list, but it won't take long.
As long as you need, my dear.
No, that's okay. All right. So really quickly, dogs are due Friday. You can still register your dog after Friday, but you'll have a slight little fee. But just know that we just need to see plenty more because we're not quite at the number that we had last year. So I'll look forward to seeing them. Number two, we received our new tabulator ballot box. Maybe not last Friday, but the Friday before possibly. And the new tabulators for elections are coming. The date yet hasn't been set. However, the training for these new tabulators has been set for at least for Susan and I. It'll be the afternoon of May 5th. It's a Thursday, which means that we will be closed the afternoon. I'm wondering, probably we're gonna have to close probably 11, maybe a little earlier that day, but I will certainly put out a reminder. We have to go up to Killington for the training, so got to do some driving time there. And I was told that our tabulators are digital, so we're moving up in the world. So excited about that.
As long as they don't break down.
I'm totally excited about getting rid of the other things. All right, number three, I want to, a little while ago, in February, it looks like, we talked about reimbursement for certain members of the town to get $30 per month for their phones. And I would like to stick to that and start with that. However, I kind of needed to tie up some loose ends. Just to recap, the 5 board members have, there was a motion passed for the reimbursement, $30 for the board members.
Kari, I don't want it.
And here's where, that's where I'm going with this. And then there are the 3 fire chiefs that were, that was passed as well, $30 per month. Now, I needed to know what I'd like you to do. If you're one of those members, please give me a current bill that you have that shows me that you pay for your cell phone, and not the phone being reimbursed to you from us, but it's being paid for by your full-time job or something like that. So I would like a current bill. I don't need that every month. I just need to know that you're paying your own bill out of your own pocket. Then I was wondering if when you wanted it, I could do 6-month increments and just put it on a reimbursement sheet when you're handing in your bill. So I can get that started and I'll keep track of it. I'll keep a spreadsheet of who's giving me that and when they gave it and when we paid it out, just so I can keep track of that. So that was a reminder for some. Number 4, I wanted to just give you a.
Oh, just a minute. Could I interrupt you just a second?
Sure.
I believe that when we discussed this telephone reimbursement, that we were pretty specific that it would be done in like 6-month increments rather than monthly, to save you the paperwork of
Correct.
having to do this stuff. So
Correct.
you'd like that?
I would like that. Yes, please.
Okay, so
But
let's,
since not everyone's starting at the same time, I still want to just kind of keep track of when that 6 months started for each person.
well, I would think it would be based on our fiscal year, the first 6 months being half a year and the second 6 months ending in June. So
True.
for everybody.
I'm just trying to think of the paper trail for audit purposes. I think we talked about that too. And if the reimbursement form can just be filled out and reflect that, just say like the first 6 months of the fiscal year.
Right.
Kind of just keep that in mind in anything that you do. Is the audit paper trail is so important. So to cover.
Mary?
So I'm not going to be taking that reimbursement.
Okay,
So that is, that,
And
all
Sharon.
of those
I'm
reimbursements
not,
are up to
no.
the individual. So
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
I won't
obviously,
be taking the reimbursement either.
Okay,
you're authorized it if you want it. If you don't, you just don't put in for it.
Okay.
And that would be it.
fair enough. So last meeting, we discussed a little bit about, well, I can't say a little, it was quite a discussion about the money in the Sutton Fund. And then we were also talking about just everything that surrounded that. Just want to ease everyone's mind that I got on the phone that next morning. And I talked to Andrew, I talked to the bond bank, and in several conversations, I've also talked to our bank representative. So the money that was in the Sutton Fund has been moved. It's sitting in the general fund where it should be, according to our auditor. And so that's all set. And we talked with, well, I won't say we, I talked to the bond agency because I was really kind of nervous about the $54,000 that was kind of left over from Center Rutland bond when that, and we talked about that this summer with that money. And I wanted to make 100% sure that what we voted in the select board meeting to use those funds could be actually done. So I got on the phone, and yes, after a couple of phone calls, the $54,000, even though it was a bond for the Center Rutland Fire Station, can be used for this next project. And I will have a way to make sure that that happens when I report out for funds to use those funds when we start getting invoices for the new project. And then, so that's the bond agency. I talked with Andrew. I still have more to talk to Andrew about. Again, I'm giving him time and then we're going to sit down. But I did get a chance to sit down with John Weston, our TD Bank representative. He came here, met with Marty and myself. Very nice to discuss possibly bringing the senior money over into our TD accounts instead of having it at Bar Harbor. He's taking care of what he needs to, meaning Marty, to get that up and running. I have a couple questions for Andrew in regards to that. Again, giving him some time. I believe we're going to speak tomorrow on the phone. As far as my questions to John, I made it very clear, just like I did last time, that I want this project to go smoothly. It's my responsibility to make sure that the money is going where it needs to go and the track is there for audit purposes. I want everything transparent and clear, meaning the same thing for everyone. And he was really happy to hear that that is my plan. And we have plenty of time to get this organized. And he said he's there to help us. He will help in any way possible. There's a couple of questions I need to ask Andrew first before moving into what I think would be the best possible route for getting this started with our accounts that we already have set up. So I'll get verification from Andrew in that we're doing everything the right way. But so far, so good. I'm on it and I will continue to be on it. I'm actually very excited for this project and I'm ready for it. And then, as I said before, last select board meeting, I was going to do a webinar on the ARPA reporting. I did so. It was very basic. There's going to be more information out there. However, the good news is, and I think, Mary, we talked about this before, but it kind of drove it home for me, is the lost revenue. We don't and I believe you know this already, we don't have to do the calculations for the lost revenue. We did not, we are not getting awarded $10 million or more. And because of that, we can simply claim all of it as lost revenue. And that made me feel great. Also, the reporting for that is going to be much more simplistic than the other part if we were given more than $10 million. So excited about that. The reporting, the first report is again at the end of April, where I will report out that we've used just some of those funds for the air purifiers that we in the town
Kari?
hall. Yes.
I just got something from VLCT that I forwarded to the select board and you, and
Mhm.
I think we have to make a declaration as a select board in the month of April that we're going to use this money as lost revenue. And
I can read up on that. I believe as soon as I reopen the portal, when the portal opens, the first question, I'll have 3 questions, and the first one will be, that's what we're doing. So if you guys want to decide that, absolutely go for it. And that way it will I'll have the backing of
yeah,
putting that in the portal.
So I suggest we put an item on the next select board agenda that we make that motion so that there is that paper trail that you want for the auditors. Okay.
Perfect. We can do that. So that was the ARPA, and the very last thing, super quick, there should be a liquor license on your desk to sign, and I believe that might be our last one.
Yeah, this was forgotten last week or 2 weeks ago, so
It's okay.
but we will get to that this evening.
Excellent. Thank you. So really, that's everything that I have, unless there are questions for me.
Does any board member have a question of Kari? No, but it's comforting for this board to know that you are as up to date and competent with this project, because it's one of the big keys to the project is obviously the finances. And when we're talking $4 million,
Yeah.
you know, this is not chump change. So
And like I said before, the money is coming from a couple different directions, and that alone made me nervous. So I was like, no way, this has got to be clear. And I wanted it to start off clear. And so far we've got plenty of time to get that organized.
I was thinking when Mary brought that up, that I had read something about having to make a declaration
Mhm.
to use the lost revenue funds, to all of them as lost revenue funds, that was before the end of March or at the beginning of April. And she's delineated the date. So you might check on that and make sure that we're adhering to the date. We don't want to get tied up with some technicality that we didn't make some.
So
deadline.
far, and I will certainly double check. So far, I've looked at all the dates that have been given to me with the webinar, different information that's given to me through email, and the Eric Hall from the Planning Commission that met with us, he also gives us updates. So far, I've done what I needed to do. I've set up the portal. I've set up myself as the authorizer, I guess, of it. I've done all of those steps, which were pretty lengthy, let me tell you. And I don't believe that I saw anything other than there's 3 questions before April 30th when the portal opens, and the portal hasn't opened yet for it.
Okay.
But I will double check.
I'll go over, or JP will go over with you the issue of retainage, because that was a major failure in our last large expenditure. And we need to clarify that in terms of the bid and the bid documents and so forth. But there will be retainage on every single check that is written
Absolutely.
anything, there will be a retainage amount, and that retainage amount will be retained until final sign off by the full board, inspection and sign off by the full board.
Okay.
And that was breached in the last instance, and it cost us dearly. So,
Yeah, let's talk about that. Absolutely.
good.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Any other questions for Kari? Thank you very much, Kari.
You're welcome.
Barbara Noyes Pulling, our Town Planning Commission Chair. Welcome, Barb.
Welcome. Yes,
Thanks for your
thank you.
patience.
Good evening. I thought I would start tonight with the pocket park. You've got a design map on your desk, and I've got a few slides, if I could have a few minutes to show those.
The floor is yours, Barb.
Okay. Sharing my screen here.
Bill, when she puts that up, can you make that full screen?
It should go full screen.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Let's see, Bill, I'm trying to find my desktop here.
Hit the Alt button, it should come up at the bottom.
I got it.
There you go.
Okay, so everybody can see that?
Beautiful.
So the first thing we did with the grant that we got from the state, from ACCD, that was about a year ago, we went ahead and got the parcel around the site area that GMP owns. We got that surveyed. So that's this. And then I pulled together a couple of groups of stakeholders. One was recreation minded, and it was represented by these groups: Green Mountain Power, Trout Unlimited, Audubon Vermont, Vermont State Fish and Wildlife, Boy Scouts, some neighbors of the area, and Ed Dumas was part of that group and had some input. And then I put together a group of historical stakeholders, and the Rutland Historical Society has been very generous with images for our project, and these are some of those. That group included even more people, Green Mountain Power again, some local historians, some representing the Crown Point Road group, others, the Rutland Historical Society and Daughters of the American Revolution, the Vermont Marble Museum, Vermont Division of Historic Preservation, and a couple of indigenous groups, the Abenaki and the Munsee Mohican tribe, and neighbors. So both of those groups I got together separately and asked for ideas. And then we had a public meeting, and this is what came out of the two groups and the public meeting, a total of 16 ideas. And those are on those maps that you have. And they're divided up by the north end, up closer to Business Route 4, and the more southerly end. I mean, they still, the park will be connected by trails, and it's still one park. But just to break it up a little bit, these were the ideas, 16 total, you know, from cleaning up markers, moving the DAR watering trough right now, putting in a new parking lot, north end, having a warning info board for safety alerts, flooding or combined sewer overflows when that happened, a launch for canoes and kayaks and a trail to that launch, removing some of the trees in the creek, and cutting brush, removing and thinning trees along Simons Avenue, and maybe some anti-vandalism measures there with park hours and a number to call if you see something suspicious. and the like. So that's up the north end, a few more down at the south end. Again, some additional parking, 2 spots that are ADA compliant, another info board. And here's the history, a kiosk that could have a web link on it and a mobile app or a QR code that leads to a virtual tour of everything that has happened in that area, and there's quite a bit. And then there's upgrading the existing path, maybe with some marble chips, to 2 picnic areas, and there's an overlook there with a fence and some benches. And clearing to see, there's this brown obelisk over on the way over on the other side. So there was a suggestion to maybe clean up the area so you can see that a little bit easier, and maybe figure out what it is. No one seems to know why it's there. And also in the south end, a new, well, there's already a trail that anglers, that should say anglers, have been using. And just to maybe spruce that up a little bit, perhaps for liability, add some fencing near the railroad bridge. There's a couple of unused, very old pipe ends down on the side of the creek, Otter Creek, that could be removed. And a new path along the beach that would connect the north and south ends. And again, cutting brush on the south end, thin trees, and maybe some anti-vandalism measures there. So those are the 16 ideas that they came up with. And here they are mapped out. And there's something interesting I just ran into. I was talking to VTrans about what we might need for permits for doing some of the things in the rights of way. And I was thinking, of course, they're just normal, regular rights of way, but they're not. And if you look at the green lines in your map or up here on the screen, there is a very wide right of way where Simons Avenue meets Business Route 4. The state says even along Simons Avenue, they have a right of way, and it kind of follows the parcel line there. It's pretty close, but then it just stops. They also say the state right of way includes that little corridor that goes down to the river from the existing parking lot. And I think the town has always assumed that both that and along Simons Avenue was town property. So I have a meeting tomorrow morning over at the District 3 VTrans office with a couple of people, and we're going to look at these lines and figure out if, off the top of their heads, they don't know why they look like this, why there's so much state right of way. So we're going to talk about that, and maybe what might be done instead of permitting. The usual route to get state permitting to do any of these things that fall within those green lines. So this is my suggested to-do list at this point. Discuss the right-of-ways, an MOU with GMP on the use of the parcel, get some design estimates, write some grants to either get those design estimates, or once we get those, we go and look for some money, and we line up volunteers for all of the work that needs to be done.
Barbara, I have a question. I don't know whether it's included under the solar powered safety alert, but we discussed, originally, we discussed some security features with camera security. I didn't see that in your list, but I think that should,
It is up there.
where is it?
6 and 16. Surveillance
Anti-vandalism.
cameras.
Yeah, I don't think I read it, but I think it is on the list.
Right, it's
Mhm.
number 16.
And surveillance, okay, number 6. Okay,
16.
I stand corrected, it's in there. Very good.
Yeah, so the grant is winding down in the next few months. We've done pretty much everything that is required by the grant. If you want, I'll compile this in a report for you, in that kind of a form. But if you want me to put any of these suggestions in, or next steps in that report, I'll be glad to do that too. So I'll take your direction from here.
Yeah, I think more information would be better than less for us, really.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Barb?
No.
Fantastic
Just
work on Barb. Go ahead, Mary.
Do you need a go-ahead from the select board at any particular point, or are you good right now?
Well, we could go either way, I would say. We could compile what we have right now and say, we met the terms of the grant, and and we'll see what happens, something like that. Or we could put something in the final report that these are the next steps that the town wants to do for this project. If that is done, that might make another grant more possible, more feasible.
Yeah.
You've
would seem
already
the-
said that's what you want to do.
That would seem the reasonable approach, wouldn't you say, Barb?
Yeah, I guess if you asked my opinion, I would suggest going that route.
Okay.
I would agree with you. Anyone have any disagreement with that? That seems, as far as I'm concerned, you got to go. I don't think we need a vote. Nobody has stopped you yet, and I don't think you're stoppable in this thing anyway, so you're doing a great job. I mean, you've done a lot of work.
Oh, thank you. And hopefully I'll come back with some good news from V-Trans. I mean, did anyone know that those rights of way looked like that?
Didn't have a clue.
No.
I knew that the railroad one was odd, and I was trying to get V-Trans attention about 3 years ago and was not successful. Just a thought, you might ask Howard Burgess to join you with V-Trans, because he has, pretty good understanding of what the town property is.
Okay. The meeting's at 9 a.m., Howard, so why don't I do an initial meeting with them, and maybe we'll do a follow-up. I don't know if Howard's, I think he's still on the line. Yeah, and I'll ask about the railroad right away too tomorrow, see if they know anything about that. I mean, it is AOT, right?
Right. Good.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So that's the pocket park, and it looks like I know the planning commission, the town planning commission is still anxious to get its energy survey out. So if it's okay, we'll approach the new energy committee and discuss and go over the survey questions and then bring that back to the full board.
When does the planning commission meet again?
Thursday night.
Okay, right. Do you mind if I join you?
You can always join us. Anyone can join us.
Thank you.
Good.
The more the
All right.
merrier.
Super.
Hi, Don.
Yes,
Don? This is Howard. I heard Barb, and I will meet, and I'll go to the meeting with her on this, and I've got some information I can probably share with it.
good.
Okay,
So I'll talk to Barb in the morning.
Thanks,
okay.
Howard.
yeah, 9
Okay.
AM over there on, off Route 4.
Okay, you're gonna meet in the field?
No, at their offices
Oh, okay, up in Mendon?
up in Mendon, yeah, the District 3 offices.
Okay, all right. Good.
That sounds like a plan. Okay.
All right, I'll be there.
Thank you, Howard.
All right, yep,
Great.
I know.
And that's it for me.
Thank you,
Unless there's-
Barbara. Very, very good report. A lot of work, and thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief.
Thank you.
Calls for service, this time period were 62 calls. You go through them, you can see a lot of them are in the Route 7 South or that general area. Nothing standing out, the usual, whatever again, but we still have a lot of calls for service on Route 7 South in the town. That's any questions on that?
Standard and typical.
Yes. A couple things. Last week, we spoke on the regional dispatch again. They talked about different models on how to fund it. Government model was a county tax. Private model mentioned the sheriff's doing it, but I don't think Sheriff Fox is really interested in it. With the help of Deputy Chief Washburn and John Paul Fagnet, we were able to type up a letter of intent for the police department, and I forwarded it to the 10 members of the committee so that they could go ahead and sign, make up their own letters of intent and send them to, we haven't decided who we're going to send them to at this point in time for the holding person to hold them. But get everybody who wants to be part of this on board. I know that the commissioner, they want us to have at least 10 departments or agencies involved in this whole thing. And in that, I also, I spoke to Don and about having the select board sign a letter of intent and send it to their other select boards in Rutland County to get them all on board if they want to be part of this. At this point in time, at least so they can have a say, because again, we're probably going to not have dispatching here come 2024. That's what they're telling us. So that includes everybody in Rutland County. The more, the merrier at this point in time. And the more departments we get involved, or more agencies, more towns, we're going to be looked at in a brighter light, I guess you could say, to get the part of the $11 million that they're setting aside for regional dispatch.
Who's going to write the letter?
Bill's already drafted a letter. It's in your packet.
Okay.
You can look it over if you haven't looked it over already. I'd ask that you guys look it over and have authorized Don to sign it and forward to the rest of the select boards in Rutland County if you would.
Where is the which letter is it?
There's 2 copies in that pink folder.
Oh, okay, so it's not in the,
No, it came after the packets went out.
all right, select, let's stay. RPC. What's it labeled anyway, Bill?
It should say right on it, like, I think I put dispatchers, there's 2 copies on it. It's just,
It said town heading.
that was one of the ones right near the top.
Commission Transportation Advisory Council. It's up front. I told you the paperwork's gonna kill me here. It's this dispatch letter, yeah, it was up front. Got it.
It's pretty short and to the point. There's no real.
Says, so, there's two copies. Kurt, this would be something that I would hand to Joe and he would read it, but I'll do that.
I have read it, Don.
Pardon me?
I've read it. I have this, if it's the one that Bill sent out that starts with Dear Town Representatives.
Yeah, I just wanted to read it for the public, Joe.
Yep, go ahead. Just one change when you read it, Don, there's only 30 days in June.
So, yeah, who put that in there?
I can't take.
That's one demerit for somebody. It's an extra day.
I read it too, just a quick edit. I mean, it says Dear Town Representative. I think it's intended to go to the select boards and not to the state representatives to the legislature. So you might want to maybe Dear Town Official.
Yeah, Dear Town Official.
Yep.
And then we'll change June 31st to 30th, so we don't give them an extra day. And so this is a letter that that the board intends to send to all select boards and fire departments too. You're going to send it to all the agencies?
I sent it to the 10 on our list to look at so they can make it their own and send it to other agencies.
Okay.
That was the plan.
But this will have wide dissemination through the county. And we're taking the lead on this. So, Rutland Town should be proud that we're doing this, and it's a necessity, but somebody's got to take the bull by the horns, and Chief Dumas has taken a lead role in this, and I commend him on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and for the town. Dear town representative or town official, we're writing to inform you of our intent to participate in and support the creation of a Rutland County Regional Dispatch Center. The Vermont State Police notified emergency service agencies across the state about their intent to discontinue dispatching for municipal agencies. This includes the police, fire, and rescue services. The effective date of discontinuance should be the word, discontinuance, is planned for June 30th, 2024. Several weeks ago, representatives of emergency services from towns across the county met and agreed that we must act quickly to maintain services for our communities. An advisory board was formed to discuss plans, possible locations for a facility, funding sources, and more. One of the first priorities of the advisory board is to determine which towns will be participating. Once Vermont State Police discontinue dispatch services, emergency services in your community will not have a dispatch service for first responders without your support and participation in this regional effort. We appreciate your anticipated support. Town of Rutland Select Board, and there's room for all of us to sign that. So once we get those changes made, dear town official, or town officials, I guess we would say, and then change the date, we can do that. Now, we want to get this out as soon as possible. Do we need to do it before next meeting, or because Bill could have the changes made pretty quickly? And
if you guys want to come in.
And then
at a
this,
later point,
if you guys, if people would come into the office and sign this, then we can get it out as soon as possible. I'd rather do it now rather than wait a full 2 weeks.
I would move that we authorize the letter to be sent out with the corrections we've talked about, and we'll all go in and sign it.
There you go. Bill, would there be any chance that you could do this now?
We can do it tonight, yes.
Huh?
We'll do it tonight, yeah. We will do it tonight.
Okay, good. Motion's been made that we do this. Is there a second?
I think Sharon seconded it.
No, I firsted it.
You firsted it.
I firsted it.
Okay, Sharon made the motion, Joe seconded it.
No, Joey, you're right. Kurt's
Okay.
right. I'm
And
glad we got somebody.
Is there any
younger that can
discussion?
do better.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we will sign this before we leave this evening.
Thank you for keeping me honest.
Okay, one more or two more items, but one should be easy. I've been approached by the Child First Advocacy Center. April is the Child Abuse Prevention Month, and they would like to put up a pinwheel garden out front of town hall just for child abuse prevention month. Just
They want to put up a what? I
a
didn't.
pinwheel. Oh, it's the blue pinwheels. The wind blows them around. They do it all over the county. So
Right.
I just need the permission from the select board that they can do that.
Do we have to vote on it? or we just
No.
say-
Does anybody have any objection to
No, we
Child
have-
First advocacy?
We have done this before, and don't they usually ask for us to make a small contribution?
I'm sure they would take one.
Okay.
What was the standard contribution, Mary?
Well, I think Chris Kiefer Chaffee and I kicked in some, but I'll move that the select board donate $100 from our fund for the
Second.
Child
Motion's
First
made
Advocacy
that we
Center.
authorize the pinwheel for the Child First Advocacy Council and give them a donation of $100 to boot.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Seconded, and it's seconded by Kurt. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Great.
Thank you.
Kari will cut a check to the Child First Advocacy Council.
So thank you for that. The last item was, it was brought to my attention earlier this week that there was a meeting at the Rutland City Police Department's, the Project Vision, in reference to what's the proper word for it?
Homeless.
Boondoggle.
Yeah, the homeless shelter located in the town of Rutland, known as the Cortina Inn, that the state wants to make it a homeless shelter. First, I heard of that, so I went to a meeting this morning, and that topic was brought up, that they're gonna make it, the state's gonna make it a homeless shelter. I brought up my concerns as a police chief. I said, yes, it's better this March than it was last March, because they have the LIT team, Life Intervention Team there, working with the folks that are staying at the Cortina Inn. Thanks to our health inspector, we were able to get the back doors. They were able to fix the back doors finally, after several months, in a record time, plus I think in 5 days, they had the doors fixed. The other issue is, listen, now without mentioning, I'm not going to mention any names in the meeting, but there's a concern not only from the police, but from Rutland Mental Health Services within Rutland County, that they are taxed to the max at this point in time. They do not have enough people to handle the issues that are happening at the Cortina Inn. They're just maxed out. They have no room for any more. I know for a fact that the state people have called 211, and they come from all over the state of Vermont at this point in time. I've been told, we were told that in April, the people that have been moved here from other parts of the state and out of state will be phased out and moved back to their respective areas, supposedly. They are going to switch it over to an 18-month or $10,000 to help people out for that amount of time, to help them find more permanent housing. The idea of getting the people out of Rutland and finding more personal, it changes from the homeless fund to what they call it, VRAP, for wraparound services for the homeless, so that they can find them homes or places, apartments to live in other areas of Vermont. So they're gonna have another meeting at some point down in the near future with the police, probably with Rutland Mental Health and a few other agencies around, to try to wrap our heads around this. I'm hoping this isn't forever. I don't want to see the Cortina Inn stay a homeless shelter forever. We just can't. There's no way that we can do this. We just not with we're wasting our time. And they also, Don was there and he mentioned some other stuff about Act 250, and I'll let him take over from this point.
I'd
Well,
like to also speak on it.
Ed, were you eventually you were invited to this meeting, right?
I was.
Okay, good.
I'm not
Because-
sure who the gentleman was in the room, but he stood up and said that he invited Don, myself, and other
Is that
people to come.
Richie Gallo?
Yeah, was that Richie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he thought it was a good talking point that we should all be involved in this. And I think
Right.
Richard for doing that.
And Chief Dumas did a fantastic job of dealing with the law enforcement aspect of this. But I have to tell you, this is some very, very serious negative business for the town of Rutland. And this is not something that can go unanswered by the town of Rutland. And we as a board are going to have to deal with this. Ed was being quite generous in his description, but the fact of the matter is that the state has made the determination on their own, without any authority really to do this, that they are going to designate the Cortina Inn, the former Holiday Inn, as a total homeless shelter. Now,
A wet shelter.
what that means is a wet shelter. And this has been tried in the past. It was tried in Burlington and it didn't work. It was rejected in Rutland prior to them trying it in Burlington. And Rutland said they didn't want it because it wouldn't work, and it didn't work in Burlington.
Can you explain?
But the
to
fact of the matter is that the Holiday Inn was permitted under Act 250 as a hotel for transients of limited stay, tourism, people visiting the area, stay a night, stay 2 nights, stay 3 nights, spend their money here, go skiing, do whatever. It was not permitted as a temporary residence of weeks or months or years for homeless people. So in the Act 250 permit, which I haven't seen, but I will, and we'll have it in front of us as a board in short order, there's a permitted use. And the permitted use is not a homeless shelter, which means, and I'm sure Mary can add into this because she's experienced as anybody in this room with the 250 process, which means that they need to go for a change of use under Act 250 because they're in violation of their Act 250 permit if they change the use without the proper hearings and authorizations. In this regard, I brought this up to the group because I took the position that our police chief would deal with the law enforcement issues and that I would deal as best I could with the political issues of this thing. We're losing rooms and meals tax revenue. We're losing the availability of housing in the area, hotel housing, which is prescribed for the region. There's so many hotel spaces. When we advertise nationally or regionally for our ski areas or whatever, we have an availability of so many rooms. There are 300, did you get a figure on that, Ed?
There's 150 rooms there. 150 rooms
Total?
total.
150.
Correct.
There's 150 rooms available for tourists that are now not available for tourists because it will be turned into a homeless shelter,
Wet shelter.
a wet homeless shelter, which means that they can come in there drunk, on drugs, whatever. They have to be taken in if they're considered homeless by the state's definition. Now, the children that are in there are costing school systems 18 to 20,000 minimum apiece, probably more because there's a lot of IEPs. There's kids with special needs. And the state has imposed, based on their programs, they have imposed these costs on school systems. You can bankrupt a community by just coming in and saying, here's 50 more kids, absorb them in your school system. Just like that. This is irrational in terms of the community's ability to finance this. Now, there's a number of approaches that the town can take, but I want to engender a discussion, and I want the board to think about this. It's not something that we have to deal with now instantly, but we certainly are going to have to deal with it in a very near future. I've asked and had a conversation this afternoon with our state senators, with Senator Terenzini and Senator Collimore, for a number of reasons. I mean, first of all, Senator Terenzini, Josh, our good past chairman of this board, was also district environmental board chair for a time. So he certainly knows the process and he knows the people. And also, both of our senators know the hierarchy in Montpelier to be able to start to process this. But it'll be the board's decision whether we want to oppose this or not. First of all, whether we want to take the position that this needs an Act 250 permit, because towns get to decide whether they approve of projects in their community. And towns and cities get to decide if they're parties to a hearing, whether they would support it or oppose it with conditions or whatever. None of that process is taking place, and a major change of use is being imposed on a facility that is going to cost tremendous amounts of upheaval in terms of law enforcement, as Ed said, social pressures with mental health, with the life intervention program, with whatever. And we, being the town of Rutland, in this case, I'll speak for us, we are getting no support. Well, Ed's starting to get life intervention support, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about dollars. I'm talking about impact fees that would be used for additional police protection, so that our police force is not solely being allocated to that facility, which is what's going to happen if that thing is fully filled with homeless. There's no question that that's going to happen. So we have a permitting issue potentially, but that we have to decide as a board whether we would want to get our attorney involved with this, how we would approach the 250 commission with a petition, or how we would approach the owner of the facility as far as changing the use. I mean, consider this, if for some reason the owners of that facility decided that they wanted to run a recycling center there, they wouldn't be able to do this without an Act 250 permit change of use from a hotel to a recycling facility. The state can't just the state just can't suspend their rules because it happens to be something the state wants to do. We all have rules that we have to follow, and so do they. I mean, they're responsible. And they're kind of in a box, because if they're saying that there's no change of use required, then I guess anything in Rutland town that wants a change of use from what it was permitted to something else would just get a pass through to be able to do it. Well, you know, that's not true. So Senator Terenzini told me that he would be back to the board, hopefully by the end of the week, with some answers and some suggestions and what actions he has taken at the state level. But this is really, really serious financial dilemma for the town of Rutland, or for any town that the state would impose. And what you should think about is this: the state has decided in their wisdom that they are going to consolidate the homeless as opposed to diversifying the homeless. So if the homeless are from Danby, they're coming to Rutland. If the homeless are from Fairhaven, they're coming to Rutland. They're not supporting the homeless in the communities that they're in. They're basically dumping them in the central city, the county seat of the county, and they're not providing the resources that it takes to do this. Stop and think about it this way. When the Diamond Run Mall was permitted, the city made a case in front of the District Environmental Commission that impact fees had to be paid because of the loss of business in Rutland City, the potential loss of business in Rutland City caused by that mall. They couldn't prove it, but they maintained that it was going to happen. As a matter of fact, it didn't happen. But millions of dollars were paid under that ruling by the Zamias Corporation. And obviously the people pay the bills, so, you know, prices reflect that. Millions of dollars were paid to the city in impact fees. This potential change to this building has as much impact, if not a lot more financially, on the town of Rutland as that mall had impact on the city of Rutland. Where's our impact fees of millions of dollars? Where's the money coming from the state? No, we get a 45-page document that we have to fill out in order to get what, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 of reimbursement to our police force. That's chump change, chicken change. You know, we're talking millions of dollars of cost, school costs and whatever. So let's wait and see what happens with the 250 process with the senators, and then go from there. But I'm of the opinion that we should oppose this strongly. Go ahead, Mary.
Chairman, well, I think first we ought to do some fact finding and ask starting with our town attorney, and ask him to pull the 250 permit and make sure we understand what the conditions are. I do think a change in use would trigger a review. I've done a number of these Act 250 matters. Secondly, we should alert the school to pull together all statistics they have of students who have come from that facility now, and do some projections as to what the school impact will be. Thirdly, we should advise our department heads, police, fire, all of our department heads, to do their own calculations as to the anticipated impact of moving to transient, from transient to live-in folks at that facility. Let's not just talk, let's start gathering the data, because frankly, if it gets to an Act 250 hearing, it's the data that's going to matter. So let's get started pulling it all together now.
I'd like to
Absolutely.
speak to
I agree with you 100%.
Don, I'd like to speak to.
Sharon had her hand up. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I just, in this room, I'm probably the person that's had more to do with the homeless in Rutland, Vermont. I've spent 40 years of my life dealing with it. I'm going to tell you, number one, they're going to apply for a 501c3 status. That means that hotel becomes totally tax exempt. So you better understand that part of it. You better understand something else, folks. When it's a wet shelter, and Ed can back me, you got drugs, you got needles all over the place, you got children exposed to that. I have to say, the Open Door Mission has open beds right now. But they tell me when they come in, well, we're going to come in a week because our time will be up at the hotel, but we'd rather stay at the hotel. Who the heck wouldn't? You go to the hotel, you get 3 meals brought to you. Folks, this is not the homeless of Rutland, Vermont. They're coming from all over the state and from all over the country. Vacation at the Holiday Inn. Got a pool, got everything you want. But you and I, we, John Q. Middle Income, is going to pay for this. A wet shelter is very dangerous. They've been tried all over the country. They're dangerous. If you want to help the poor, then put that money into housing, not motel rooms. Put it into housing. None of you as parents out there would want to, if you had to, wouldn't want to raise your children in a homeless shelter. It's not safe because every derelict from all over the country can come in there. And if you think that the Holiday Inn or the Cortina Inn gives a rat's patooch, you're sadly mistaken. They're making $500,000 every 6 months from putting up homeless down there. I just, and the staff, even that lit team, as I understand it today, one of the girls, and I know who she is, said, well, she got scared a couple of times because a guy pushed her. Well, let me tell you, you have to be trained to work with these folks. And if they're dangerous, you have to learn how to protect yourself. And it isn't getting into a shouting match with them because they can become dangerous. Am I correct, Ed? Correct. And our police force, our people in this town are expecting to have their neighborhoods taken care of. Now, our cops can't protect the neighborhoods. They got to go down and protect the derelicts at the Holiday Inn, and our fire department will be there constantly because, you can't smoke crack cocaine in a room and not raise smoke. So I for one am proposing that we as a select board with the input of the people of the town say no to this in our town. It's not no to poor people. It's no to this nonsense that we're being stuck with.
And I agree with you, Mary. We've got to develop the statistics, but the very first issue, and you know this very well because you know the process, the very first issue is going to be whether the District Environmental Commission considers this a minor application or a major one. And they're going to be petitioning that this be considered a minor. And with respect to what your suggestions were, Mary, if we have the facts and we have the statistics to prove that it's far from minor, then that'll weigh into the decision that the first decision that they're going to have to make is whether they consider this a major change or a minor change.
Well, no, I think the first decision they have to make is whether this constitutes a change in use. And we had better be prepared with the data to say, yes, it is, or no, it's not. But that's why I'm saying, get your data together before we start taking positions. Because we really need to know, we may need to intervene sooner if there is a jurisdictional opinion requested.
Right. The Act 250 permit that they received should answer that question pretty easily because it's.
That's why I said we should be talking with our town attorney about the current Act 250 permit.
Correct.
Right.
So I think
if the board would authorize me, I would. Kurt, you want to enter the discussion? Go ahead.
Sure. should we maybe make a special committee for this, with all of us board members, so we can come in on a separate day and sit down and figure out what we need and what we need from other department heads and what data we
think
need to
he's right.
gather up?
I think the board, actually, Kurt, is a good suggestion, but it would be a committee of the whole, because I really believe the whole board needs to be involved with this. That's why I'm bringing it up now.
For sure,
I'm bringing it up for board discussion.
Right.
And I think Mary makes a valid point that we need to get our town attorney involved, and I will make that call with the board's permission, but the board is going to have to authorize me to. I'm just not going to do it on my own. It's a board decision. And that's the way I'm going to
My suggestion, should we make maybe a special meeting for this where all of us board members can sit down and hash all
And
this out? and
Concentrate on just that.
Just on that and,
Yep.
make sure we get everything lined
Right.
out,
Yep.
what we need.
Well, I agree that we should do that, but I think Mary's suggestion first to get the town attorney involved, because then that would probably be the kickoff to our meeting.
Mhm. For
Having
sure.
that decision. I'd rather do it with Kevin's advice.
So I
Is
would
that okay
move
with the
down.
board?
I'm going
Go
to
ahead,
make a
Bill.
motion if you let me in. It's my turn to talk. So I would make the motion that we authorize board chair to contact the town's attorney and discuss this issue and the stuff we talked about tonight. And following that discussion, we can set up the meeting that Kurt said. So that would be my motion. I think
Okay.
this is important enough that, I'll stop talking until somebody seconds it.
I seconded it. I seconded
Okay.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Now it's up for discussion, and you're first up, Joe.
Okay, I think that, we have enough smart people on the board, enough experience here that we should be able to map this out. Once we get some advice from Kevin, we should set up the meeting that Kurt discussed, because this needs to be the focus and basically the only thing the board meets for on an odd night or whenever we're going to do it, because this is probably one of the most challenging things we're going to face this year. I think this is going to be more challenging than anything else, is how we're going to get one state agency to regulate another state agency, so that maybe we might at least come out even and not behind. And I think you're going to find this is going to be very, very difficult to do. I think my personal opinion is the state of Vermont is going to take care of its own, and they're probably not even going to listen to us, which I know it's not fair to say, but that's my gut feeling. Thanks.
That's why we need to get the people of this town writing letters. Once we get the facts, Mary's right on that. Get the facts, get people out there, keep people aware of what it's going to do to our town, what it's going to do to that end of the city for any industry that wants to go down there. If you think there's going to be a lot of stores, they're already cutting off catalytic converters in the parking lots down there. And I, for one, don't go down there anymore without my husband to sit in the car. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Ed, give me the numbers again now. The present rooms rented are 136.
I think
Was it-
yesterday, I didn't look at today's yet. Yesterday, there was 136 rooms were rented.
Okay, and
Just a
there's
shade over,
150,
Little over 200 people staying there, including children.
and there's how many more rooms available?
150 total, so 14 left.
14 more.
Right.
Right. So if there's 200 there now, but there's a potential of another 20, 30, 40 anyway,
Anyways,
Anyway,
and that's just one facility.
yeah, and if they have 2 or 3 kids, then
Yeah, yeah,
So we just need to vote on it, Don, and move along, because I think, we've
Any
got a
other
good plan.
discussion?
Yep,
is there any other
we've
discussion
discussed it
on
to
the,
death.
any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
I,
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
vote. And I'll contact Kevin immediately tomorrow.
I think that's all I have.
I believe, pardon me?
I think that's all I have.
No, I believe he's out of town, so it may take a couple of days. Okay, and as another little kicker to this, and I'm not going to mention the name because that wouldn't be appropriate, but I have some fairly good information that there are major businesses in that plaza that are contemplating vacating because of this situation. And if that happens, others will follow. This is not good for the whole Rutland region. This is, and my conversations with Mayor Allaire after the meeting today, I emphasized that we need to act in concert. The town and the city are much, much stronger together than we are apart. And he agreed with me, and he fully supports the restrictions that we're talking about. They're not in favor of this any more than we are. Because there's a substantial burden put on their school system as well. The state's policy is that they don't like to separate kids from their home school district because of their friends and their support services, the guidance counselors, and a whole mess of other good reasons. So I'm anticipating that we'll have the full support of the city in any proceeding that we're in. Okay.
Can we take a 10-minute break or a 5-minute?
Thanks, Ed. I think it would be appropriate now if you cut the feed, Bill, and would take a 5-minute recess. We are now, and Chris Clark, our fire chief, is up. He told me to tell you to keep it brief.
I'm gonna.
That's right after Dell told me I should keep it brief.
Way to go, Dell.
Jesus Christ, I need an adult diaper.
Dell, you're on.
I don't care. The truth is the truth.
This is Easter coming up and Passover and all that stuff. Try to keep it reasonable, will you?
So nothing big tonight. Couple fire calls the last couple weeks. The radio grant we got a couple months ago, I don't know if you guys remember, for 27,000 and change.
Right.
The radio's been ordered, the chargers came in. Are we still planning to pay that out of the depreciation fund and then putting the money back when they give it back to us? So
Good.
is that good? I can do that?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I got for you then.
Well, we've got inspection.
Huh?
Inspection,
Inspection?
truck
On the
inspection.
truck.
Oh, that's in April.
April 14th and
15th.
15th. They'll go down. They'll see if everything's on there. They're still working on the truck. If it's approved and they get done, it's going to Massachusetts, where all the equipment will be putting holders on the truck, and then we'll get the truck. And when it gets here, it'll probably be 3 to 4 weeks of just training on it before it goes into service.
Who's going down for inspection?
Billy Sweet and Dan McCarthy. And I'll be online doing it.
Oh, so there's only two going,
Just two.
and it's only one trip.
One trip.
So
This is the final.
you're gonna get some money back then, aren't you?
We should. I'm not
Yeah,
100% sure.
well, you got 2 trips authorized. It was in the budget, right?
Yeah.
2 trips for 3 people
Right.
apiece. So we're only doing 1 trip with 2 people, so.
Yeah. This will be the one and only inspection. This is the end inspection. They've been sending us reports weekly,
Mhm,
so
good,
we're all set with that.
super.
So as soon as we get it, we'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll do that and we'll schedule, we'll put it out on, Bill will put a notice out so that we can come over and take a look. At our leisure.
Can do.
Good.
So if I'm the head of the fire committee, do I get the first ride in the
You're the
truck?
queen.
I'm the queen?
You're the queen.
Okay.
Queen of fire.
That's all we
Queen
got.
of fire.
Gonna go for a good ride.
Oh,
I believe so, sir.
All right. Thank you.
hey, thank you. Nice
What'd
report.
you say?
I was just gonna make sure it was easy accessible for you to get inside the big truck, that's all.
Oh, the,
Did you hear that?
does it have a Frankie handle?
You guys providing a ladder for her to get up in there?
Listen, you,
Ladder. A small step ladder, doesn't it? Like,
the abuse in
I
this.
think the city fire department still has Frankie's step.
they do.
So we'll
I'm
go
not
get that
going
for
on
you.
any step that Frank is. in.
Next up is our road commissioner, Walt Tripp, and his able assistant, Jason Bathalon.
Our chipper is at Earl's getting repaired. We don't know how long it'll be, just like everything else. They had to special order the axle. Other than that, it's just waiting. We put 2 horse signs up, one on Coal River, one on Stratton Road. The Hubbards had asked for them and we talked to them before we put them up. So they were happy with what we did. We're going for our flagger recertification April 5th in West Rutland so that everybody stays legal. Bill wrote a letter to Boutwell's about this tree on Connor Drive and had no response, but Mary said maybe she could help us out.
Why, you have a chainsaw, Mary?
No, I know the Boutwells. There've been a couple
Oh.
of deaths in the family recently.
Oh, okay. Well, that's certainly cause for a little delay.
Yeah.
And I guess we can bear that.
Yeah. And we had a driveway permit, which Billy will fill us in a little bit more on that. They did the driveway before they applied for the permit, but Bill's gonna fill us in a little bit more on that. But that's basically all I've got.
Okay, good. Just,
Friday, I'm gonna be out reading meters, water meters, and there's one resident over Flory Heights that we've been trying to get a hold of. The Xfinity, they had put a box over one of the meter readers, so that's not accessible for me to read it. So I've contacted, trying to get a hold of the resident. I guess the number has been disconnected. So I contacted Xfinity, 2 different Xfinity people. And I got a different answer from both. One said that the resident is responsible to move the box. And the other resident said that Xfinity was responsible. So I'm not quite sure who is. So I'm going to try to write a letter and drop it off at the resident's house. And hopefully they get that by Friday.
Might want to turn it, well, return receipt requested so that they can't say, well, I didn't get it. You know,
unless he hands it to him personally. then-
right.
Yeah, I knocked on the door this morning and nobody came. There was cars in the driveway, but
Okay. Just stay on it.
sir. That's it.
That it?
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Great.
Good.
Pray for no snow.
Had enough.
Mike Rowe, our town recreation director. Thanks for your patience, Mike.
On camera, I gotta be quiet. You okay? Need a drink of water? Need a 5-minute break? Just have a couple things. Act 250 for the park. Should be at on your desk next week to look at for the next meeting so that we can have it signed and sent in, and hopefully we can move pretty quickly. Well, as far as Act 250 goes quickly, so that we can start, in June or whatever with our mountain bike trails in the park. So we walked it the other day, outlined everything, and it's going to be awesome. It's just a matter of getting 250 what they need so that we can get approved and then proceed. Our fencing and lining for the pickleball courts, which is the second part of the money that you allocated for park improvements, will be done in the next couple of weeks. I actually saved us about $1,500 because the price of fencing went up last Friday, and they measured it on Wednesday. So, well, when I called Skip and he's like, "Yeah, do you want to do it quick?" I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "It goes up 7% in 4 days." I go, "Yeah, let's go." So
Now,
yeah, let's go now. So I saved us about $1,500, which is awesome. So that'll be fenced in, lined. And then, I purchased the nets already. And for people that are concerned, I have purchased replacement nets for the tennis courts. I wasn't going to put them up in the winter time for the tennis nets. So they'll be taken care of once the weather kind of turns a little bit, which leads me to, we'll be starting probably in the next couple of weeks with our spring cleanup and getting things ready and going once we get a nice firm ground. Baseball already is continuing to sign up. Please just either fill out a form online or come on in and visit our lovely staff in the town clerk treasurer office, and they can definitely sign you up for baseball grades K through 6. I received the filling station, that water grant, the grant that we got for the water station. The lady dropped that off to me this week. So that's at the pool right now, and it will be installed when the weather changes. And what else did I have written on there? Did anybody have anything else while I'm looking at my thing?
No, just at some point that you could coordinate, Sharon, and you could coordinate possibly a visit by some of your volunteers that are helping you with the trail. One of them being, I had a nice conversation with my neighbor, Josh Harris, who said that he's volunteered to provide his sawmill to.
Oh, we tossed a bunch of
produce some lumber from the.
Potentially, yeah. There were names thrown around. Our lovely Chief Dumas's name was thrown around too, because there are some parts on the bike trail that might be like a boardwalk scenario over some wetlands, which is part of our Act 250 part. And then there's a bridge that's going to be traversed over a little river that's part of it. That we'll be looking for lumber at some point. So we'll get materials list, and then we were throwing around all kinds of names. Obviously, they went and talked to him because he wasn't at the meeting, but his name was brought up. The other thing that we need to I don't know when we traditionally do it, but we need to start locking the gate again. We've had some experimentation with grass and vehicles and how far can I fling the grass. And luckily it's not on a true playing surface, but because all those are kind of locked up. But I don't know when we normally do it. I don't know if it's like the 1st of April. Well, you get any idea when we start locking?
Typically, we would go from April 1st through to November 1st.
Awesome. Thank you, JP. So this Friday. So fantastic. That was what I needed to know.
Beautiful.
So we will get that going. Other than that, I don't really have anything else unless you guys have any questions for me.
Anyone have any questions for Mike? No, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Mike.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Night, Mike.
John Paul Fagnan, our town health officer. Floor is yours, JP.
Just briefly, we did have some success with the Cortina Inn with regard to that letter I copied the board on. So I haven't done a reinspection, which I will be getting to this week, but it's been reported to me that the doors have been secured. That's all I have.
That's great. Anyone have any questions for our town health officer? Thanks, JP.
Okay, thanks.
Bill Sweet, our town administrative assistant.
All right. I'll do my best to be efficient. The few things left in the packet. We have the driving while operating a handheld electronic device ordinance repeal. There's a statutory window where anybody who is against it has to file a petition. No such petition was received, so the repeal will move on. And it will actually become effective April 2nd. So that will take care of that. We did have some questions about it, but no one filed any petitions about it. So it's just proceeding on. And then we will have another repeal and a modification for the next meeting. They'll be within their timeline. So that was just the update for that one. So the repeal will happen. It's just going to happen after. It's going to be 60 days out.
So we don't need to take any action.
Don't need to do anything. It's just
Timeline
it's just a notice that the timeline is done. And then in your packets, letter F came from the highway committee meeting. We made a few changes to the language in the job description, and it has been posted. So it went up right away. Don, you said you had Joe had said you had a modification of one word. We fixed that word. So that's all already taken care of. So
okay, good.
But on that, so what you have is what is posted. The last page there is the notice that went in the Rutland Herald, just the little blurb to it. But that's there, and I've got a couple more places I'm going to get it posted to, but it is out there in the world.
Good.
G was from Kari. That was a detailed listing of all the budget data sheets that showed revenue and expenses, because we were talking about at the highway committee meeting, and some of the expenses we were talking about, we needed to make sure the revenue was there. So it's just a detailed by department list for everything that's coming in and going out. And then the last thing in the packet was a paper copy of the schedule and agenda items. Given that we were going over committee assignments, I wanted to make sure to get it in everybody's hands. What is out there. So there's some topics that have been on those lists for longer than others, but we've got a good list to go through for several committees. So if anybody needs to change anything, add anything, let me know and we'll take care of it. But just the more we get scheduled, the more we get done, the better it'll be. So that's the total of the packet items. Do you have any questions on those?
Anyone? Anyone have any questions on any of the packet items?
Pretty straightforward. And let's see. So on your desk, there's a few things left. I don't remember what order they were all in. So the police department has the passive grant for their items.
Right, that needs to be signed by the applicant. Would be Teddy?
That'd be Ted. Yeah, if you haven't signed it, we'll just.
I'll give you those 2 copies.
Yeah, leave it in the pink folder. We'll get them back.
Okay.
So I was waiting for them. No other department has said they needed anything. So there is on your desk a supplemental one, a second one for the highway department. They're the only building that doesn't have a camera system. So if you wanted, we could apply for one. And I quoted a system that would get us using the remaining money that is available to us in the grant. So the grant's for $10,000. The police used 5,500 or so. So I used about 4,400 to write that for that. If you would like to do that.
What's your pleasure, board? Want to do that?
Well,
Why?
I think that's his committee, isn't it? Highway? No, that's Joey.
Joe, it's Joey.
Okay.
Joe,
Yeah,
what do
I
you
think-
think? We want to apply for that?
I would move that we go ahead with this grant and, please secure it good. And if we're turned down, we've lost nothing but a little bit of time.
There you go.
Amen. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved.
So you have that in the list also. It says highway. There's one that says highway at the top.
No.
You have that one. All right. We did receive, let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready, Don. We'll keep going. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We had put out an RFP for electrical work at the building here. We received 2 bids. You have the details on your desks there. I made a little short comparison cover page, and then the 2 bids are underneath it. There was one project that we got 1 bid. The other company chose not to bid on it. So there's six projects listed. And then all their associated costs are there. So the way we had presented it was that we would not take one or the other over one, like we could, if we wanted to do one project with one company or one with another, we could do that. So I don't know if we want to make a decision on it tonight or if we want to have the building committee look at it. They just came in. This came in Friday, so nobody's really chance to see them yet. So.
Well, that being the case, I would think the building committee would want to take a look at it and then make a recommendation to the board.
Which is fine. I just would appreciate if we can do it because we did give them some timelines because we wanted to take this out of this year's building maintenance because there's a little extra money because we didn't hire the architect. So we did put in there that the projects need to be completed and billed by mid-June. So we gave them a short timeline. So if we want to do that, which is I agree with, we should meet sooner rather than later. So.
Yeah,
If
could you schedule that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and schedule it so that we can take action. We'll have it as an action item on next week's 2 weeks agenda.
Yep. Sure. Yep, that'd be great. And a couple of things left and we'll be good shape. I do have the updated letters for the dispatch center here for you to sign. Want those? Our contract for it's the same thing. Yeah, we just took 2 copies. We're just gonna sign both of them. Yeah.
So which one do you want to choose to sign?
Well, we were gonna
Sign them both.
yeah, sign both. We're just we'll keep one and we'll let the other one go for copies and whatnot. Our contract for lawn mowing has expired. So I was going through some of the contracts and realized that it's up and we're gonna want someone to do that. So I put together an RFP that we can send out for lawn mowing. We do 4 different properties. It's the office, the cemetery next door, and the 2 fire stations. And I modeled it basically after the contract we had before. So I wanted to know if we were okay just sending this out or if we want to make any changes to it or if we want to put it off.
I don't know, we're multitasking here on this letter. Say again, Bill, I'm sorry.
Our contract for lawn mowing
Right.
is expired. We typically have spring cleanup starting within a few weeks, and then lawn mowing after that. So I put together an RFP based upon our last contract, which worked pretty well. So I just want to know if we were okay with sending it out like it is. If you had any questions on it, it's like I said, it's the same. To change the dates to line up with the new calendar, but it's we did it before. We did a 2-year contract. So it would be again for two more years. And then I put it for bids due back April 22nd to review them at April 29th meeting.
What's the amount of total? I mean,
Can
we renew without having to go out to bid?
It was a 2-year contract before. So, I mean, I suppose we could, but that wasn't an option included in the last contract. So, we typically have gone out to bid before and just gotten new pricing. So, I mean, I don't know if the person they probably would resign another contract, but we usually do it.
What's the pleasure of the board? I mean, if
Well, I
we're
think if you-
satisfied with the work that they're doing, why wouldn't we just continue with them?
Then we'd have to make them a preferred vendor then, or?
I don't think so. It wasn't because it's a month. It's just a monthly service. I mean, it's
Yeah, if
like
they've
going
done
with
a
the
good
copiers
job.
or anything else like that. So it's been BK Services out of Pittsford. He's been doing it for the last couple of years. So
Unless we have any complaints with him, if he's willing to
I
continue doing it.
can reach out to him and I can ask him, and if he's
I mean,
If Brad will continue to do it for this price, then for sure, because
Okay.
with fuel prices going up, I'm sure the
Okay.
bids will come back at more than what we were paying last year for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and I'm sure he's entitled to a little gas increase, but
Well, and if we already know how he works, then
yeah.
why go looking for more?
Mary or Joe, you have any comment on that?
No,
My only comment would be, and I think Kurt mentioned this, is that because of the increase in over the last 2 years in fuel prices and whatever, expect it that he won't be able to do it for the same price he's done it for the last 2 years. But I'm okay with having him do it again. We've had no complaints and they do a good job, so that's okay with me. And if he doesn't want to do it, then we'll have to authorize putting this out to bid and we'll just be behind a little.
So that's fine. I'll reach out to him and ask him just to send us an updated contract for 2 years. No problem. I got, late yesterday, I got an update on the Route 7 scoping study for JP Sidewalk. So they said the surveyor should have the information to our Dufresne group by the end of the week. They received the historic review. There's no issues identified. There'll be a draft report. Just need to fill in some blanks on that. VTrans is next. They have to review their proposal and respond with comments. That takes about 4 weeks. Then the Dufresne group is going to be required to respond to VTrans comments and revise the report as needed prior to a public meeting. They will provide us with a draft report at the same time submitted to VTrans so we can review it, but we will not have a public meeting until after VTrans comments, which would likely be early May based upon the VTrans schedule. So we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Started your cards. You're ambitious. Ambitious. Okay, so we have, as Walt said, we have a driveway permit, which was for a residence on Grover Drive. It was submitted for them on Moore's Auto submitted it on behalf of the resident. I believe Moore's Auto sold them the home and installed it there. But the driveway permit was presented for approval after construction was done and the residence was occupied, which according to the permit is exact opposite of the entire process. So they called again today asking if we've approved the permit. And I said, no, we haven't approved it yet. So I don't know how we want to handle it. I mean, there actually is a penalty clause in the permit under state statute for not less than $100, not more than $10,000. I don't know if we want to go quite that high, but how do we want to handle the application? I mean, there's really, I mean, we could tell them they got to take the driveway out and put it back in again, but I don't think we're gonna do that either. So
I don't think that'd go over too well.
probably not, but
Did you ask them why they didn't apply for the permit first?
they overlooked it. Just
Inadvertent error.
Is it in a
Was
good
this just a-
location, Walt?
I'm all good with it.
Okay.
It's up in Grover Drive.
Yep. Is that the?
It's on the
new
back
one on
side.
the back
It's been
side?
put
Yeah.
in right and everything?
it's 606, so it's around the back half.
Yeah.
I don't.
I know David and I know Joanne.
What do you
So
think?
the installation, there's not an issue with the installation other than the fact that they just went ahead and did it and they're asking forgiveness, not permission. So
Well, I guess that puts them in kind of the same category as a particular party that put a septic system in without a permit. And we haven't fined them. So
we haven't got, I don't know if they've answered the one on Killington Avenue.
no.
Oh,
One
well,
on-
yeah, we've made contacts on the state about that and they said they'd handle it. So I mean, I haven't heard back from anything on that yet, but I don't know.
Yeah, but this is just a driveway. Walt
Right.
says it's looking
I'd be in
good.
favor of simply signing the permit.
Yeah.
I don't,
Do we maybe draft up a letter saying?
You
don't
know,
do it
shame
again?
on you.
Yeah, shame on you. Don't do it again.
yeah.
You know, if
If you're
more are
gonna
gonna
put
be
a
selling
second
more
driveway
houses
in,
in
please get a
town.
permit.
Yeah.
Is
'Cause
there
we
any-
could have.
We can,
Is there any additional cost to the town because they didn't apply for the permit until now?
I don't believe so.
All right. Then we should just issue the permit.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Sounds good.
So we'll send them a letter because they've got to come back and there's recording fees because this actually, the driveway permits are actually part of the land record, so they will get recorded. So they've got to come back and pay the recording fee for that as well. So we'll take care of getting a hold of them for that. The last thing I have on your desk, we got one of the sewer allocation overages sent in their application to apply for the difference. That's the Woolnick property one that was on the side of the desk. Should be the only thing there you haven't looked at. There somewhere. They were like 19 gallons over. It was a small number. That was the one we talked about. That was the seasonal one on Seward Road that had the problem with it freezing. So she did send her application in. On the other side down, I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but so there's asking to they sent the check in and are asking us to approve the additional allocation for them.
Move to approve.
Motion's made to approve.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion?
Bill, is there any way that we can convey to them that it would be in their best interest to have somebody look at that and see if they can stop it from freezing?
I did. She called me and asked me why she got the letter back and asking her to do it again. So I did have the discussion with her. Yeah, when she called. So it was conveyed to them.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
To Kurt and give these to Kurt too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This afternoon, we got an email about a grant opportunity through Peter Welch's office. Ted has already started the letter of interest that we're going to bring to the board next time. And it is going to allow us to apply for some grant funding to hopefully offset the cost of the public safety building. Yeah, they said they funded project up to $3 million before, so we're gonna see what we can get. So we have to write a letter that we are going to apply for it. So Ted and I are working on that. We got a first draft done, but it's when we started working on it a couple hours before the meeting. So yeah, we're gonna go after that and see what we can get and go from there. Can't hurt to try.
Can't hurt to try. That's right.
Yep. That is everything I have, and I think that's everything on your lists.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, we have a motion that I don't believe we voted on to authorize the allocation.
Oh, whoops.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks, Joe.
I thought we voted.
It's getting late.
That's what happens after 8:30.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
The SWAC.
Yep. We appointed people to the SWAC and they're both regional ones. So I think there's a signature line for you at the bottom there. Just sign them and I'll fill
Approved
the
by the
names in.
legislative body.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of contact information we got to fill in. So if you wouldn't mind, just sign those. I'll
And
fill
this
them all
one
in.
here, this SWAC has 5 signatures, so.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to do that one, we'll get them all. If you just sign them, I'll take care of filling it all in. Anything for me?
Anyone have anything else for Bill?
Left in the room.
Question, comment?
No.
Critique? No.
Okay.
Nope.
Thanks, Bill. I've lost my agenda. What the hell is just too much paperwork.
I know.
God. Committee meeting updates. There was a highway committee meeting. Who wants to give a report on that?
I will. So the highway committee met with Rick and it was in regards to the shared use path at Northwood. And there was a number of things we discussed in that meeting. The most important is authorizing the putting together of specifications to put out the bid for that path. Robert Clark has told us he would do that. There's some stuff the town can do. So there's going to be some portions of that bid, which will be town maybe be able to haul in some of the material. One of the things we did learn is that contractors are getting really busy. It's hard to get jobs done, get equipment. So one of the things we did is that we are hoping to have this completed by, I believe, the end of July of 2023. One of the things that will be in the bid specifications is that whoever moves in and starts doing it, they stay there till it's done and not, come and go as they please around other jobs. We're hoping that we can get this in and done. The sources of the funding are kind of a little bit difficult to trace. I did try to do some, and some of the sources of funding are in the highway carryover. There's approximately 300,000 in that carryover. 140 or 50 is already earmarked. So there's a little bit there that there should be enough there to do the project. But what I'm looking for and the Rec and Highway are looking for is the okay from the full board to move ahead and put this out to bid. End of report.
And that's your recommendation, Joe?
Yes, I'd make that a motion that we do put this out to bid and move forward.
Motion's made and seconded that we put this out to bid, and any discussion?
Yeah, I think didn't Robert Clark say he could do it for what, $3,000 or less, getting all of the bid specs ready?
Yes, yeah, that was his estimated cost to put this together for us. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should include that in the motion then. Motion to approve 3,000, not to exceed 3,000 for that.
Sounds good. I'm okay with it.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, fine. Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Takes care of that one. And we've already, committee meeting updates, we've taken care of that already. Anyone have any updates on the project list? You have the project list. Make a motion for the executive session.
Yeah.
To discuss a personnel matter.
Yeah.
Any other business to come before the board?
Move to go into executive session for personnel issue.
Second that.
Motion's made and seconded to go into executive session on a personnel matter. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are now in executive session.